Before we can build icon sets or add animation, we need to start with the basics: drawing vectors. Framer's vector tools let you create and edit shapes, paths, and curves right on the canvas. These are the core building blocks behind icons, logos, and any other custom graphic you want to make. So in this video, we're going to cover how they work and how you can start combining them into more complex shapes without ever leaving Framer. To start drawing with vectors in Framer, we'll head to the top left corner and select the vector icon. From this dropdown, we have options to create simple shapes like rectangles, ovals, polygons, and stars. To place a shape on the canvas, just pick one and click and drag to draw it. If we want perfect proportions, like turning a rectangle into a square, we can hold Shift while dragging. This works for all shapes. Just keep in mind that using Shift automatically locks the proportions after the shape is placed, but you can unlock them anytime by clicking the lock icon in the Properties panel. Another helpful drawing tip: holding Option or Alt while we drag makes the shape expand out from its center instead of the top left. Pair that with Shift and we'll get perfect proportions just like before. And if we want to reposition the shape before placing it, just hold the space bar while dragging. This lets us move it around mid-draw without losing the size we've already set. Once we're happy with the shape on our canvas, we can now customize it even further by double-clicking it to edit its individual anchor points. From here, we can change the positioning of each point or even adjust the curves of the shape's path. For example, when we select one of the points on this circle, a pair of handles will appear. These let us control the angles and shape of the curve. By default, both handles are mirrored so they move together, which is perfect when we want a smooth, consistent curve. But if we want a bit more control, we can head over to the Properties panel where we'll see 3 curve options to switch between: straight corners, mirrored handles, and disconnected handles. Straight corners flattens the curve connected to that anchor point, giving us exactly what it's titled: straight corners. We can also toggle this by double-clicking an anchor point while in selection mode. Mirrored handles is the default mode, where both handles move together, and disconnected handles lets us move each handle independently for more custom or asymmetric curves. Another way to activate this temporarily is by holding Option or Alt on our keyboard while dragging one of the handles. And if we want to lock the angle of a handle, we can hold Shift while adjusting the curve. Framer also lets us add new points to any path. By default, we can add a point right in the middle of a path segment. But if we hold Command on our keyboard, we can place a point anywhere along the path instead of just the midpoint. Now, I've gone ahead and added a few more points to a shape to show how managing multiple points is incredibly flexible. For example, let's say we needed to select multiple points at once. All we need to do is drag over the points to select them, and now we can move them as a group. But what about points that aren't right next to each other? For that, we can hold Shift and click the points we need to select to add them to our selection. Or if we want to remove a point from the selection, just Shift-click it again. With multiple points selected, we can also use Align and Distribute to keep everything perfectly lined up or evenly spaced. And if we have a pair of straight path segments, the ability to round the anchor points between them will appear in the Properties panel. Finally, like most things in Framer, we have style options that allow us to control the color, add shadows, and adjust stroke properties. Now that we've gone over how to draw with the basic shape tools, let's jump into making our own custom shapes from scratch. The first thing we need to do is select the Path tool, either from the vector dropdown or by pressing P on our keyboard. From there, we can click anywhere on the canvas to place our first anchor point. Each click after that adds a new point, automatically connecting them with a straight path. If we ever want a curved path, we can just click and drag when placing a point. This adds a curve and handles just like the ones we adjusted earlier. To fully close the path and finish the shape, just click back on the very first anchor point that was set. If we ever need to keep the path open for any reason, we can press Escape on our keyboard before closing it. If we do have a closed shape that we want to open, we can just select any path we want to remove and hit Delete to reopen it. And if we have an open path that we've maybe clicked away from or are coming back to later, we just need to click either the first or last anchor point in the path to keep drawing and adding new points. Now let's talk Boolean operations. So far, we've learned how to create shapes in a few different ways, but it would be nice to build more complex ones without having to manually draw or adjust every curve. Luckily, Boolean operations let us combine two or more shapes to create an entirely new one. I've set up a few shapes on the canvas so we can walk through how this works. If we look over at the Properties panel, we'll see a row of icons. These are the Boolean operations. Right now, they won't do anything because they only activate once we've selected two or more shapes to combine. Once we do that, all of the icons will light up. But what does each one do? Well, Framer gives us 5 options to choose from depending on our desired result: unite, subtract, intersect, exclude, and join. Unite merges 2 or more shapes into one. Subtract cuts the top shape out of the one beneath it. Intersect keeps only the overlapping area. Exclude removes the overlap and keeps the non-overlapping parts. And join groups multiple paths so they share the same visual properties without merging their actual shapes. Boolean operations in Framer are non-destructive, which means we're never locked in and our shapes are never flattened. We can always go back to our Layers panel or double-click directly on the canvas to open up the shape group to access our original shapes and paths, allowing us to move anchor points or tweak paths as our design evolves. So now you should have a good understanding of the core tools for drawing vectors in Framer: shapes, paths, curves, and Booleans. Together, these give us everything we need to build clean, flexible graphics that can scale from simple icons to more complex illustrations. In the next lesson, we'll take these basics further by covering how to create and organize a vector set. I'll see you in the next video.